story, and we'll bring in Kathryn Ravey, International Advocacy Officer with Defence for Children International Palestine. Kathryn, thank you very much indeed for your time. What's your assessment of what you've heard so far at the International Court of Justice?
Yeah, the hearings have been incredibly important, of course. They've established that UNRWA as a part of the UN system. Israel's attacks against it, of course, are part of a larger attempt to undermine the international rules-based system. We've seen the UN clarify that Israel's position regarding the UN should be seen cumulatively together as a persistent violation in binding provisional measures that the court has made previously. And I think of most note, its attempt to undermine humanitarian aid and indeed UN institutions that support Palestinians also violates other member states' rights, their erga omnes obligations under international law to implement measures aimed at preventing genocide and further suffering.
And let's say at the end of these 5 days, the decision or the ruling does find Israel to have broken international law. What happens next?
Well, advisory opinions are meant to act as soft law within the United Nations system and international legal system. So there would not be anything that would dramatically happen right there and then. However, we have seen time and time again over the past year and a half, Israel's credibility on the international stage constantly attacked. And I do think there is a movement in the international system to see its membership at the UN stripped. Now, obviously, that would be a pretty dramatic extent. But as we have seen, there are several cases against Israel at the ICJ and, of course, at the ICC. So this could very well be a crucial moment in questioning its stance on the international stage.
And is that a possibility? Could Israel be stripped of its UN membership? Because presumably the US is there, the United States has always defended Israel on the international stage and would do that again.
It is indeed unlikely, although that power absolutely exists within the Security Council. And the UN General Assembly does indeed have power to question a decision by the UN Security Council. I would expect that we would absolutely see the US protect Israel at the international stage yet again. However, there is more we can expect from states, and indeed more they're obligated to do in order to cease this ongoing genocide. And I would wish to see the UN General Assembly stand up against the Security Council in this measure and indeed push for this. And if that was not enough, of course, we've seen calls for unilateral sanctions and arms embargoes. And this passage of this advisory opinion against Israel would, of course, strengthen that as well.
And that is for another day, really, because right now at the center of all this is the suffering that's ongoing in Gaza and the Palestinian territories. They need more humanitarian aid, they need more food and supplies, and they need a ceasefire. Can these hearings do anything to achieve that?
Well, I think, as it was mentioned in the hearings yesterday, a crucial component of this advisory opinion is recognizing and underscoring how Israel has over time historically implemented Palestinians, or I guess a dependency for Palestinians on international aid and indeed on aid facilitated by Israel. So we are seeing yet again that Israel has this grip around this region to indeed allow starvation to happen and a genocide and a slew of international law. What will remain to see is genuine international action, as it has been. We've seen great states rise up, action at the ICC, at the UN, at the ICJ, economically, militarily, but it frankly isn't enough, and we need to see more international action and accountability. And what is withholding that is really a lack of state will, and threatening the international order is, of course, protection by the United States and its allies.
Kathryn, good to talk to you again today. We appreciate you joining us on the News Hour. Kathryn Ravey there from Defence for Children International Palestine.
Thank you.